88.5 Super FM, and of course, it's now 10 a.m. in Surface and Lotion, of course, the Eastern Caribbean. As I said earlier on, I was getting set to present you with a house guest. With me is no other than Mr. Placid Lascaris, District Disaster Committee or District uh, Director for the Disaster Preparedness Committee. It's been a long time I've been trying to chase down this gentleman. I must let the listeners know that. So I'm finally happy that you're here with us for sure in the flesh. Let me say a special good morning once again to you. And it's immense pleasure to finally, as I said, have you grace us here.
Good morning, Radio Land. Good morning, 88.5. Good morning, Soufre. Good morning to those on the World Wide Web. The name, as he said, is Placid Lascaris. I'm the District Disaster Coordinator for NEMO in Soufre. The work we are doing for NEMO in Soufre is immense in terms of the volume of it. After the passage of Hurricane Beryl, I believe I want to say a big hats off to the volunteers who volunteered to do the IDAs, the initial disaster assessment. Special mention goes out to Sonia Kazuba, who is our meteorologist extraordinaire, who has done a fantastic job with the group. And she's also my deputy. I can say morning to Rita, who is the fisheries officer, who did a heavy job also. Armonti, the Lamontaine ladies, Janelle and her sister. There are lots more from the SRDF, which I need to thank immensely. Rochelle Charles for doing such a great job. We have Mr. Regis at the fisheries complex, who also worked very hard. The school principals who were there first. Thank you very much. We know the job has just started, and we need to keep together for us to do more.
Thank you so much for that. Let's speak to what St. Lucia witnessed about a week ago, and of course, which can we speak to Hurricane Beryl? We saw the devastation in Soufre specifically. You being on the ground as well, what could you tell us? How prepared were we,
To be honest, from looking at the onset of the tropical storm, we noticed that it's going to be turning into a hurricane before it hit land, for sure, because all the meteorologists from overseas, from the US, from NOAA, and the European models always predicted a dangerous hurricane coming towards the island. However, what I can say that was a little plus for us is that we alerted the fishermen very early from Thursday. I did make a call to one particular fisherman and tell him, tell your friends, get your boats higher. Because the way the storm was turning, I knew we would have gotten some rough sea. Even Sonia did advocate that also to us in the group that we're going to be in for trouble. And so said, so done. Because she always make mention her gut feeling that, we're going to be getting a strike. And thank God we didn't get the eye. That's all I'm saying to everyone. Thank God we didn't get the eye. Had we gotten the eye, we would be saying eye story.
I think too often times, especially when the Atlantic hurricane season approaches, we tend to let our guard down, thinking St. Lucia will always be spared, or they're just speaking and nothing is going to happen to us. So the nitty gritty of things, I think more than just an appeal to the public, you need to maybe put the heat out there. I mean, what preparations can you make? And when we speak of preparations as well, we're not speaking of just getting food items in terms of like the non-perishables, but how prepared in terms of the safety kits, first aid kits, in terms of trimming down your trees, in terms of your gutaways and all those things as well.
Yeah, we do make mention before the season starts for how important it is for persons to do their own type of work around the areas, which I believe it will help us. But a lot of us do depend on government. It's government's job to do this. My friend, it's your duty to keep yourself safe. Sure. It's not the government's duty to keep you safe. It's your duty to keep yourself safe during the hurricane. And in case you incur any damages, like damaged roof, then the government will come in after through the agencies that are supposed to go and do the initial disaster assessment. When we do speak about the hurricane, we always ask people to keep your matches close by, your batteries close by, your first aid kits, your Ziploc bags, your non-perishable items, your biscuits. You don't know for how long the hurricane is going to stretch. In case you have your freezer equipment, get salt or don't open it too often when the storm strikes because we don't know how long we're going to be in for it. And I'm always telling them, be prepared because you don't know when your turn is going to come. But the other thing I want to make mention of, we have a culture, right? We are embedded in a culture that so long as anything going to strike is like a party it is. Yeah, a lot of people believe it's a party, like a hurricane pre-strike is a party. Oh, let's go drink out there, let's go drink out there. You will be all right. It's not like that. Unless it hits the door or it hits you at your home, you know how serious it is. The actions you take can be detrimental to you yourself.
I'm really happy you actually bringing that up. Permit me to speak on the recovery process. Even to before we jump into the recovery process, let's look at in the midst of it all and different videos being depicted on social media with approaching systems. We know the tides get extremely high, the gusty winds are increasing with strength. That is very impactful. That person shouldn't be outside, and yet still we see a lot of these things happening.
Yeah, because I will still make
I
mention
think
of
it
the
stems from
culture.
curiosity.
Yeah, the culture of curiosity. That's what it is.
How can that change?
It won't change unless that one person doing that gets involved in the melee.
But I
In
think
terms,
with NEMO and authorities, I mean, the police officers and other agents are responsible for getting people indoors. Definitely, if that's a confinement for sure.
yeah, we can only do as much because there is something they call Amnesty International will tell you about people's freedom. You understand? The person's freedom is something you cannot take away unless you have legislation that will ask you and allow you to take it away. You understand? But in a shutdown, you understand, there are certain things that the police is powerful with and certain things that they're not powerful with. Now, our culture is freedom. That's why people say, oh, officer, you pushing me, officer. If you have a yellow line there that says caution, do not cross. Why cross it? You'll cross it because of curiosity sake. The wave come, it pick you up, it bash you, you're gone.
That's Nemo's fault.
It wouldn't be Nemo's fault, it would be the person's fault. Because we can only do a certain limit of things. You understand? Because I cannot go and tell the police arrest you because you misbehave in there and you don't want to stay in. You understand? It's up to you. It's your freedom. You believe it's your freedom. You want to do what you want, you do it. But we still encourage you to be safe and stay home. But as we are saying, the curious onlookers would like to have it on Facebook first. Right? Facebook first. That's what I'm saying. That they are the ones who encourage other people to go out because by the time they post it, somebody say, that's happening now. Let me go and see for myself. And by the time you go and see for yourself,
see a lot of that
you may jump over an electrical line. Yeah, a tree may be on the verge of falling as soon as you pass. It collapses on you. Who's to blame? You'll say the authorities. Yes, the authorities did warn you to stay home. So, but they will not. Yes, if it's a galvanized will fly. You understand me? This is a wood with plenty nails. When you pass, you try and rush to the hospital. The hospital would be maybe inundated with some other patients and stuff like that. Maybe got injured long before you. So you'll have to wait. All these things we're trying to put together to allow people to stay home during this passage of this time.
Definitely, and I'm really happy you speaking to that situation. If possible, a lot of the times as well, what we really see is coming out there in the midst of everything, and the children or even the parents themselves are bringing along the kids. We saw that happening right on the waterfront. We saw the caution tape had to be put up, and then the kids were still passing, raising the tape and actually getting into there. And the officers were basically saying, I'm sorry. And at time they have to get out of character to say, I'm sorry, you cannot go. What is so difficult to not understand that there were live wires and all those different situations present there that you are not allowed to. And even with the exchange, sometimes they're thinking, that the police officer want to tell us where to go, what not to go. And then another thing too that can be a bit tricky, I witnessed it as well with the access of the ATM. Times of disaster, sometimes you need to access the ATM, and given the current situation, I mean, how do you navigate such a process?
Well, Sometimes you have to look at the scenarios on a broader basis. If we know the hurricane is going to strike, right? And it normally we up to that, maybe on weekends you find hurricanes maybe striking some of these islands. You need to know that you don't have enough cash at home to buy this, buy that, buy that. You understand me? In the perfect situation was super, the waterfront. You would not be able to access the ATM that is there because of the high waves. You understand me? You need to make better preparations so that you know going to the ATM would be something you have done before. Now, with the people who brings the children across in the danger line, they need to be very careful because they will be held responsible if anything happens to these children. Because by right, these children are supposed to be kept home in a safe place, then instead of coming out to weather the storm. Because most of what you're saying is, I see first, I want to see first, I want to see what happened, I want to be here. You understand? That's the culture we are. I want to be there. I don't want you to tell me. I want to see for myself. I want to see it first when it happens. You understand me? There is I don't know, TV program overseas that says, when it happens, we want to be there first. Yeah, that is the slogan we have in certain places. We want to be there first. I want to show you first. And being first, sometimes you die first. You understand me? If you're not watching what's going on, you'll be there. You'll be gone first.
Another thing I want you to clarify, we've seen even amidst the disaster, storm, whatever it is, that persons are now climbing to get the galvanized secure. For me, that is not safe at all with gusty winds and anything. You're just putting yourself in harm's way.
Well, they, some people believe they are superhuman, right? Against nature. There is no superhuman against nature. Nature in full force is nature. And there is nothing that can deter nature in full force. Come on, you can put brilliant walls up. You can put the strongest buildings up when nature is ready. You guys are just watching a program this morning in South Africa where they have a storm hitting them. One it was like, and to see the amount of infrastructure that is there and the waves, the sea waves still get through. Climbing up rivers, going under bridges, pushing the river backward and things like that. You understand me? With all the infrastructure, the nature still finds its way to do what it wants. That's what that we have to understand that nature is the most powerful element. There's nothing powerful than nature.
On that note, let me just say good morning to all those of you just joining us here virtually as well. I want to say good morning to you. With me is Mr. Placid Lascaris, and of course, you're familiar with him, the director for the Disaster Preparedness Committee, as well as our person responsible for Nemo as well, with Sonia Casabor along with their team. A lot of work has been done, and they continue to work tirelessly to ensure that some semblance can be brought to our wonderful community. When we look at the waterfront and even the beach park as well, it really gives us, that second thought of we here today and we can be gone tomorrow with just a simple disaster. Everything can be erased. Taking you to the recovery process, could you share with us what it has been lately? I mean, I personally did a visit to the St. Isidore's Hall when those persons were being housed there, and it was not the best for me with those persons, and I think it can greatly impact the mentals.
Yeah, these persons who were at the St. Isidore at the emergency shelter were people who lost their belongings during the storm, during Beryl. They were at the next to the market, the bus terminal. They lived at the bottom. All of them got washed out. All their belongings and houses got washed out. So in the meantime, that was the only avenue because we got a call from social transformation that we had to remove the vagrants on the road, get them a safe place before the hurricane strike. So we had the police go around with some of our agents, our volunteers to see, and we only picked up one person, so we had to open the shelter before. So then, thank God we did that, because the 8 people who got affected, they would have nowhere to go come Monday morning. You understand me? So we had to house them at that shelter Monday with cots and stuff like that. And then we, because that's the only place there's a shower, there's washroom facility and stuff like that. And it's wide enough. So the conditions you saw them in, I think they have gotten better off than that. But based on talking about the shelter, I want to thank Hotel Chocolat, Sugar Beach Advisory Resort, and Chasney who came on board also, and Corporate Suffrage for assisting us in feeding these people for the length of time nearly. Now we have moved them from the St. Isidore Hall because it's a busy space. We are at the infant school, but they are going to only be there for 1 week. And then the families will have to find place for them who the health ministry is going to find access to comfort before, because we have an elderly gentleman there. I think he needs to be somewhere trying to get better care. And the other people, their families will have to take care of them because they have homes. These people have homes. They just choose maybe to go and stay down at the bottom. You understand? Because it's easy access. They sell fish. They might be honest. They like most likely to be called fishermen, but they have relatives and stuff. Until something is being done, you understand me, to accommodate them in the future. But presently, for now, we don't have no facility in Soufrière. No facility in Soufrière to say we can have a government facility where we can house people, make it look like a hurricane shelter. You understand? A resource center so that we can put people in a time of need, such as this time. So the site of your site at the St. Isidore Hall wasn't a bad site. It's just that it was somewhat disorganized for the moment, but afterwards it was properly done.
Thank you so much for that clarification. Let's look at in terms of what we saw with the high tides and going back to again person's behavior. You cannot be out fishing or even sea bathing like there's nothing, approaching. I mean, we need to, yes, you can see weather the storm, but you have to keep safe and do not let your guard down. We saw the destruction even before hitting St. Lucia. We saw, I mean, Grenada, actually, we saw Kuriaku, what really happened. Again, the low line areas, the advice basically, I know you may not tell people where to build or even how to build, but the coastline areas, the shoreline areas, definitely it's a no-no because we need to consider the hurricane season as well. And too oftentimes maybe people build, I'm not considering, the weather conditions or even the systems too.
Yeah, you have a good point. Some people do construct houses based on where you have your property, right? Because some people, especially if you go down Barons Drive, some of them do own the properties there. Now, we don't have a building code in terms of to tell the people don't build a wooden house by the sea or build a wall house. You understand? It's where the person can reach in terms of finance. Because you know how difficult some people are to obtain finances. Now, my suggestion to a lot of people, if you build in a concrete house, don't put no roof on top. Put a deck. Deck it. No roof. Because as long as you have a roof, it's prone to category 3, category 4, look, category 5.
People have money.
Yeah.
People have money.
But sometimes the roof costs more than the deck. Yeah. Now the roof would cost more than the deck. So I would advise a lot of people, if you're thinking of building a roof and you want to build a concrete house, put a deck on top.
Okay. In terms of what can you tell us, the assessments you've carried out, how close are we on the road to recovery?
CDEMA is an agency in the Caribbean that is really undertaking the recovery process through NEMO and through the other government agencies that NEOC, the National Committee. We attended a workshop sometime in June concerning the recovery after hurricane and disaster process. What is happening now, all the data we picked up, all the survey we did and the ideas we did, the initial disaster assessment, it was sent to head office, and from head office goes directly to CDEMA. And from there, between government and CDEMA, right, they're going to do the proper approaches so that we know where is going to get the first action done. Also, we have a set of engineers that are going to be in Soufrière. I don't know if they're there, where they will come and look at the waterfront, come and look at what is most possible to be done, or in a shortest space of time, because we're still in the hurricane season, to alleviate that storm surge. Because if you look at Barron's Drive was based on the rocks that are at the bottom there. Because if you look at the rocks, the way they design is just like the seawall that's in front, PTB. Because that seawall is there over 100 years. And there's no storm. Well, now it's decaying because it's old. But there's no storm based on storm, I tell you. Storm surge that has affected it.
But it can be a bit, in my mind, I'm trying to understand it. The sea wall at Barron's Drive, um, I would consider it still being low line compared to if we look at the infrastructure. Those jetties also have been there for a period of time. So
Mhm.
how could it have been created such an
It's
impact?
the design of it. That's what we call anti-surf. When the wave comes this way, now the stones would ride it this way and it will go back, it will slide back. But when you have a straight wall, right, and the sea hits it, when the sea goes back, the waves get higher. So when it comes back, comes right over. Yeah, that's what it is designed as. Because people who surf overseas, the waves come so and they go underneath.
Like cool.
Right, they go right. That's surfing. And anti-surf is when it hit and come back this way. So
Okay.
it's going back.
Um, I know you're not able to answer such, but with what we just saw, persons are curious to think, will there be a tsunami?
Well, I am not a meteorologist. I am not a scientist. But all I can ask is be prepared because we don't know what's going to come. We just don't know because we have Kick and Jenny outside the Grenadines there that can do anything at any time. We have our last friend that is dormant. That's I mean, so we just keep in faith that nothing happens.
Okay, given our Atlantic hurricane season commenced on June 1st and it ends on November 30th, and we've seen even out of the norm storms are still hitting us in December, technically. Some precautionary measures before and after disaster, I would love for you to issue to the public.
Um, the hurricane season is normally, as you mentioned, it ends on November 30th. But the system that would be within the hurricane season, you will within hurricane season, that may lapse longer than November 30th. You understand me? Because there are all sorts of weather patterns all over. So these patterns can maybe choose to come in December or not, because we have no control over it. That's the thing. We have no control over what we're receiving. Had we had control over it, Beryl would have gone somewhere. We absolutely have no control over it. So what I can advise us, solutions, and people overseas, let us always keep our guard up and not down. Because at any time, anything is possible. Weather-wise.
In your capacity, what you think can be done differently in terms of us really preparing for those disasters, and what's the worst that can happen?
Okay. While speaking to you then, something came to thought. What we can do as the team, Nemo team,
Yes,
is
sir.
get flyers up, post it around poles with the things you need to do in case of storm strikes, pre-storm, post-storm. Have a flyer and put it on poles and stuff like that. I think that will help a lot because it will be just like a little PR for yourself. You understand? So you as a person would know if you don't listen to the radio or don't watch TV based on the hints that are being given, you read it because the majority of us can read because we all have WhatsApp, we all have everything. You understand? So then, when this is done, I believe a higher percentage of us would be able to get ready for any eventuality.
I think more sensitization as well. And I think what we see happening all the time, we wait for the season to commence and hey, all the bulletins and all the radio programs and everything quickly gets on the way. But leading to that, I mean, the months, there's so much happening.
As you say, a lot of people, we are all busy people, right? The position I'm in is a volunteering position, right? Now, volunteering, if when you go to people and tell them to volunteer, they tell you volunteer does not put food on your table, right? Volunteer is like I would say before, a vocation. Volunteerism is a vocation. And then from that on, you will not find everybody, you understand me, to become a volunteer. Although there are people, sometimes they say, oh, I want to be on the team, I want to be on the team. But when they come, when they realize the team is the team, they say, all that work for nothing. You understand me? A lot of people, that's what they do. They want to be a volunteer. But then when they get in there, all that work is absolutely for nothing. But what they need to understand, becoming a volunteer is add to your CV when you're applying for a job these days at the hotels. They will ask you what group you belong to. And if you are a volunteer of Nemo, you'll be quickly considered because they know you're doing a lot of charitable work.
Thank you. The other part question, what is the worst? Too often times we hear that saying, um, praying for the best and still preparing for the worst.
Praying for the
We
best.
know we got spared to an extent from Beryl, but then the systems continue. Even Jamaica, if persons are fallen, we saw what happened, and even Texas right now, a lot of persons are without power, lives were lost, and all that, impact in Louisiana, Kansas, and so forth. So for us, we got spared to an extent. And again, what is the worst that can happen given our small island states?
Small island states like us. A lot of people say we are guided by prayer. And then what happens is that with all they say we guided by prayer, some people believe nothing is going to happen. Oh, hurricanes have a passes here. The storm won't pass there. It will go this way. It will go this way. And that's where we have a problem. Because sometimes they do not know the weather forecast. They don't listen because they already have at the back of their head the hurricane not going to hit us. Then they go on the rendezvous. In spite of being warned not to move up, they go on the rendezvous. Then when they get jammed, that's then you find the worst part of it. Oh, I didn't know it would have been that dangerous. I didn't know, but you were warned before not to venture out. Stay home. As Hungry would always tell them, stay home. You understand me? Because you don't have nothing on the outside. Because when you're home, after staying home, when the storm subsides or passes, then you can take a little tour, go around to see what happened to your animals or something like that. Because, first of all, before the storm, we'll always advise you put your animals in a safe place. Maybe your dog, your cat, your chickens, try and get them safe because they have lives too. But we have, as I would say, like before, we have a culture that says me first. I want to see first. So that's where the prayer comes. Let's pray. And then we take care of ourselves. Try and be safe all the time. Because not being safe means something, it can be a big question mark.
10:30 a.m. in Surface St. Lucia and of course the Eastern Caribbean. Let me say thank you so far. It has been a very interesting conversation as well. And I'm hoping that persons are listening. You have to be prepared. Do not let your guard down. And like we did mention earlier on, there were certain your first aid kits, your matches, candles, non-perishables. You need to have those things prepared, and not just non-perishables. But if you have to look at getting your essential documents, always in Ziploc bags as well. And those of you who have infants, the necessary preparations for the little ones as well need to be taken into consideration. We're moving against time, if I to speak that way. what are your final recommendations? What would you like to put out there? Again, we're seeing another active season for 2024.
Well, for 2024, the scientists predicted we have 23 name storms. 11 of them, one is gone already to be dangerous storms. So we don't know at what point we'll have another hurricane coming towards us, because directly the islands are in Hurricane Alley. That's how you call it, Hurricane Alley. Because once the hurricane forms in the east, it goes to the west, unless if you take an extremely northwestern turn. So from Cape Verde Islands, it would go up to North America, Europe, and these places. But we need, as I'm saying also, we need to have our areas where we know we live to be pruned properly. Especially we love a lot of big trees over our roofs, of our houses for shade. These things need to be looked at carefully. Find somebody for chainsaw, or call Lucy, like if it's over electrical wires, call Flo. They would find people to come and guide you as to how to cut the tree. They are responsible for any of the electrical lines. So as long as the tree is above the electrical line, you can call Lucilec. Lucilec is always willing to assist in these factors. What I can also tell us St. Lucians and people overseas who want to assist us, we have quite an amount of people who are homeless now because of the storm that's in Soufrière. I would like to make an appeal that if you're going to send any assistance down, do it correctly, because you know how people behave now. So somebody will say, "Oh, I lose this, I lose that," and they lose nothing yet.
How about getting it done through Nemo?
Yes, it can become. It can come through NEMO also. It can come through the disaster committee. It can come through SRDF. It can come through NEMO. It can come through SSDF to the people who are affected. They will receive it.
Yeah, I believe having it through those agencies,
Yes.
Legit, if you were to say.
Legitimate. Yes.
Yeah, legitimate. Just before we leave, something also came to mind talking about disaster preparedness. When we look at the communities, and not name calling, but this is something I've seen in terms of heavy rains and stuff. Palmis area down the factory is not the best sight to see, with all the debris, or even on the roadways, and it's making it very impossible, for motor vehicles and even pedestrians themselves.
But that issue there is a community issue. We need to put our garbage, our refuse in proper perspective. Get garbage bags, keep it close to your home. Don't wait for when the river or the ravine is going down for you to dump the garbage in there. Because a lot of it is indiscriminate dumping. That's why we'll have these problems. But I think if we have proper garbage chutes, have the truck, because the truck passes regularly. Is some people, I guess, that do not want to obey and doesn't discriminate them. Maybe just a few. But you can't say it's the whole community. But what's coming from is on that side, it's coming from down to the bottom. So that's where our problem lies. Because before the storm, you can't go out and know how much water is going to come and stop it. Because there is something like a sump at the bottom. It has not been cleaned for a while. So it overflows. It overflows like a catchment, and it overflows. So all the debris runs into the road.
Okay.
These things need to be cleared before.
Permit me to ask, is NEMO working with other relevant authorities to remedy such a situation as well, and even with the river desilting?
Yes, we are on board with the agencies, especially the Soufrière Town Council, the district representative giving advices, the Ministry of Communication works, yes, so that we can go hand in hand, because we had already made mention of the desilting of the rivers to come, but Beryl came first. So then afterwards we'll have that to do. So
Okay, I think it's paramount, given with what lies ahead with those systems. Again, we do not know with the categories, and gathering strength and stuff as they develop and even approach as well. So I think those efforts are timely.
yeah.
Also, I want to just reinforce persons need to again stay indoors when the hurricane, I mean, in the midst of everything, do not go out of curiosity to say, I want to see, I want to be there. And what we see happening is social media taking away, the essence of everything where you have to remain indoors, but we rather go out and get those selfies to say, watch those waves coming in and look at us carrying the people cylinders. And I understood a lot of that was happening as well. Um, Based on a few officers that I spoke to, it is an offense. However, there is that debate to say, I didn't steal it, it was just floating and I took it and stuff, but then it is an offense for sure.
Um, with what went on there, I believe that well, the people from the fisheries, right, were not aware that the waves. I don't think they were aware when the sea was bashing, right? But as in Jamaica, there's laws for staying in, for looting during the storm, right? Because I was watching the Jamaican news, and I don't know if it exists, right? If it does exist, we need to enforce it. We need to enforce it. But a lot of that was dangerous too, because if the tanks had exploded while they're taking them, if the waves bash in
Casualty.
the tanks, so we'd have a calamity.
Yeah.
Suddenly we would have a calamity. Now, one of the other things I want to make known, the our volunteers for the Nemo team is not going to go out through the storm to save anybody, right? We have the St. Lucia Fire Service who is trained, who are trained personnel to do such. Nemo only operates after the storm has passed because we need to keep ourselves safe so that we can go and do the work afterwards.
I think a lot of the times that is what being mixed up. They believe because okay, you all are Nemo professionals and you all are basically trained or the experts to deal with such. So sometimes they just throw themselves out there to know they have to come and get me. It is their job to come and save us. You understand? And it has to do with maybe miscommunication, or if persons choose to just be malicious, I don't know what to call it as well, because we too oftentimes we know the right things, but again, I think some of us are just miserable too, you know because even with disasters, persons from the Preparedness unit, I mean, I have friends there who would say, you wouldn't believe the amount of people that came to us and said, like, they were taking the cattle amidst the hurricane and amidst everything else, and persons are carrying their stuff. I'm saying, but that's crazy. How can they even come out in the hurricane? So they said that's the time they come out the most because everybody's inside, so no one has eyes on what's happening with the animals. I'm saying, wow, wow, wow.
It's not well, I know there are some people who would wait on times when you are most vulnerable to react in that kind of manner. You understand me? Because they know hurricane is driving. They'll go buy a quick pen, they'll take your best animal. They'll go somewhere else, take somebody's best animal. What are they doing with it?
So,
What is going on? What are they doing with it? That's the thing I can ask. What are you doing with it within that time? Suppose an officer galvanized from the pen.
and the pig went away. So the pig you were really trying to grab, you end up losing your life or getting injured.
They don't care.
But I think we sit and think it's a joke, but that is really serious, and those things need to be addressed. Pretty last unit and Nemo and whatever authorities. I mean, they
We
need
cannot
to.
intervene. NEMO cannot intervene with the Brigadier Latani unit. Is their own. It's Brigadier Latani the police. Yeah.
But
NEMO,
sometimes when you look at it, it's like all hands are tied as well to an
Yeah.
extent. I mean, manpower, resources, whatever needs to be. I mean, they were not reaching the consensus on that. So it's like everybody just spinning the top in mud. What can be done really and truly? What can Nemo do? What can the police do? That's the question that has been asked. But then we should see what can we do.
um, if we have issues like that, what needs to be done is form a separate committee with agents with different persons from different agencies working together to find solutions for these problems. I think that would be the best.
I agree. I agree. I agree. Mr. Symphorian, you have any comments on that? Any
So I
questions?
agree. What you were separate community because already
You know,
who might have the on field already, who do one set of tasks already, and you know the amount of persons you have to reach out to already. I mean, again, man.
Even to that, in terms of burial, what could you tell us? What you saw on the ground? You know, in terms of even your area, how
But too much damage
was
was
it
be
impacted?
done in my area, but boy, I can tell you something about it. The winds, boy, you know, a lot of trees. Yeah, leaves, plenty of that. I can tell you that. Water and sun from some certain places. I was rural, especially we saw what happened on the Super Beach Park and the Super Waterfront. You know, I never saw that coming. I didn't see that one. You know, because another person was looking for like London, like so much would be destruction on the land itself, not the sea rush coming to shore and doing some damages to persons' properties, persons' businesses, and all that. Understand? But I guess that need to prepare us for the others coming. You understand? Because that was just a wake up call for most of us. It had to be. It should be a wake up call for most of us because, like Mr. Lascaris did mention, look, there's two others already gearing up, and even before those two others, remember there was Debbie and Chris. You know, we saw what happened to Jamaica, of course, on the coast of Mexico. But again, let's keep praying. Let's keep praying for sure.
because I think we have had four now.
Yeah,
Yes, yes.
or what?
Yeah. No, it will be free. That's free. Alberto, Chris,
Alberto,
and
Chris,
Beryl
and
and
Beryl.
Chris.
Yeah.
And Debbie was in the back of Chris.
Yeah, we have a
And we
David.
still have a
We
Debbie,
still
Still have a David.
and we have an Ernesto,
Yeah.
Francine, Gordon, Helen, Isaac, Joyce, Cook, Leslie, Milton, Nadine, Oscar, Patty,
Wow.
Raphael,
Right.
Sarah,
20
Tony,
more.
Valerie, and William.
Who get them names?
Yeah.
And it's from NOAA, National Oceanic Atmospheric Classification.
Yeah, that's what it is. My take on that, I mean, the upcoming Atlantic hurricane season is expected to have above normal activity due to a confluence of factors, including the near record warm ocean temperatures in the Atlantic Ocean, the development of La Nina conditions in the Pacific, reduced Atlantic trade winds, and less wind shear, all of which tend to favor tropical storm formations. Um, to you, sir, how would you like to end as well?
Okay, first of all, let me thank you and your team for having me on your radio program. Let me thank all the listeners, all the viewers on the program. Also, let me thank my volunteers. Kudos to you all for doing such a great job. Also, let me remind the public that whilst at the center, we received some help or support from Hotel Chocolat, which we want to still thank again. Sugar Beach Advisory Resort and Charleston Hotel. Some people from SRDF chipped in to give us the support. Also, Miss Robertina Joseph from Forbeni, who's actually doing the catering for the residents at the shelter.
The time I was there, I witnessed the Schwazel Credit Union coming in as well with supplies.
Okay, well, shows the credit in and big kudos to you also. And then what I can say, let's remain in a safe position, in a safe place during any storm that is approaching. Thank you very much.
Eighty-eight five Surf FM is now 15 minutes, moving up to the hour of 11 a.m. in Surface and Lotion, of course, the Eastern Caribbean. This is where I say tata au revoir to you. As always, it's a pleasure sitting here keeping your company inside of a house guest. And of course, it's the 10th day of July 2024. Mr. Lascaris Placid. Thank you so much, sir. It's been a pleasure. Have yourself a productive one. To you as well in the listening world, Radio Land. Have yourself a productive one. Until next time, stay blessed. We're out.